Hi, welcome to my video on the review of Radiance. And as in all my reviews, you can treat it as a quiz, and this one is marked at a 40. You can, there's 106 pages, so there's 5 more to go. So what you could do is do each question and give yourself a score, total up the bottom on the page when all the pages are done. Put your mark at a 40, divide 40 into the numerator, convert it to a decimal, and move your decimal 2 places to the right to get a percent. Here we go. Start the review of radians. Number 1, complete the statement. A radian is the measure of an angle when the length of the arc on the circle is divided by the radius. So if you have arc and radius, give yourself 2 marks. Use each S, R, and theta to write a formula for radian. So theta as a radian is S over R, the arc length divided by the radius. Give yourself a mark if you have that formula. In terms of pi, a radian measures one rotation on any circle. And it's 2 pi radians. Give yourself a mark if you have that. Number 4, we have a circle, point A, and express each point as a radian in decimal form as A rotates. And here's A going around. So A initially is 0. B, as in terms of a radian, is 1.57. C is 3.14. D is 4.71. And all the way around is 2 pi, which is 6.28. Notice this is 90 degrees. This is pi over 2, which is 1.7. This is pi, which is 3.14. This is 3 pi over 2, which is 4.71. And this is 2 pi all the way around, 6.28. 5 marks if you have each of these right. Or if you have some of them right, give yourself part marks. Which radian measure can represent H? The radian measure, H is the rotation that fires here. And so this is 1.57. This is 3.14. This is 4.71. So H is between 3.14 and 4.7. So that would be C. Give yourself a mark if you have C. Find the radian measure if the arc of a circle has a length of 12.6 and the radius is 3. So the radian measure is the arc length divided by the radius, so 12.6 meters divided by 3 meters. The meters cancel. 3 into 12 is 4. 3 into 6 is 2. So if you have 4.2 radians, give yourself a mark. Total up the page, and hopefully you have a score of 11. And note also that the questions are in order of the videos that I did in this unit on radian. Number 7, the arc length of a circle is 40 inches. The radius is 4 inches. If the rotation starts at A, in what quadrant is the radian measure? So, the theta in terms of a radian is S over R, and that's 40 inches over 4 inches, and that's 10 radians. And 10 radians, well, this is 1.57, 3.14 is a radian, 4.71, and 6.28. So 10 radians is right around the circle to here. Come back to A again. So if we take 10 and subtract 6.28, you get the 10, there's a 2, and a 7, and a 3.71. So you have 3.72 to go. So 3.72, and we go to, there's 3.14. 3.14 is right here, and that means you're gone in 4, 12, that's an 8, and a 6, that's a 5. So you're gone 6.28, 3.14, and you're into here. So you went right on around, and then you went 3.14, and a little bit more, so that means you're stopping right here. Radiant measure, and that means you're in quadrant. This is quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're in quadrant 3. If you have quadrant 3, give yourself a mark. Pi radians is equivalent to how many degrees? 180 degrees. If you have 180 degrees, give yourself a mark. State the degree measure for each radian. Well, 2 pi is all the way around. 2 times 180 is 360. And pi is 100. And notice that up above, pi is equated with 180 degrees as a radian. Pi as a radian is 180 degrees. So 2 times 180 is 360. 180 divided by 2 is 90. 180 divided by 3 is 60. 180 divided by 4 is 45. 180 divided by 6 is 30. And 180 divided by 10 is 18. I just drew the extra one in. All of these right here pertain to the special right triangles. And this is the quadrantal angles. So if you have all 6 of these correct, give yourself a mark each. Graph each starting at A. Pi over 2. So pi over 2 is 180 divided by 2. So pi over 2 is 90. So we're going to graph. So there's pi over 2 radians. That dark arc there, that's pi over 2. I changed it to degree to show you that. Or you could say this is pi, and this is a half pi, so it goes as far as here. Pi is equated with 180 degrees, so I rotate 180 degrees like that, right to there. So that's pi radians. And negative 3 pi over 2, that's a 90. So there's a negative 3 times 90. So that's a negative 270. And a negative 270, you rotate, we're going 90, 180. So that's right there. So that's your graph of the rotation. So it's a negative 3 pi over 2. If you have each of these right, give yourself 3 marks and add up the total out of 11. There we go. Number 11, change each to degree. To change to degree, we multiply by, notice radian is on top, so we multiply by 180 over pi. What happens when you do that? The pi's cancel out. 3 and 180 goes 60, so you get 120 degrees. Give yourself a mark. Again, you got radians on the top, so you have to have radians on the bottom to cancel out. So the pi's cancel. 4 and 180 goes 45. And 5 times 4, negative 5 times 45 degrees gives you a negative 225. Give yourself a mark. Change each to a radiant in terms of pi. So if you have a radiant, you multiply by 180 over pi. If you have a degree, you multiply by pi over 180. So the zeros cancel. I see a 6 goes in 4, 6 goes 3, can't cancel any further, so it's 4 pi over 3 as a radiant. Give yourself a mark. And we multiply by, this is a change each to a radiant. It's already a radiant. So if you didn't change it, good. So 3 pi over 2 is a radian. So if you made that a 270, now you got to multiply it by pi over 180. But it was already a radian there. So if you tried to change that, you would get it wrong. But if you had 270 there, then the zeros cancel. 9 to that goes 3. 9 to 18 goes 2. You get 3 pi over 2. So it's sort of a trick question, so you got to be careful. You don't have to. That is a radian. You don't change it. So be careful. But if it was 270, then you would come back to 3 pi over 2. Change 2.4 radians to a degree to the nearest tenth. So it's a radian, so it's 2.4 times 180 over pi. Now, if you multiply 2.14 times 180 divided by pi, you will get 137.5 degrees. But if you did 2.14 times 180 divided by pi, which is 3.14, that will give you 1.76. So it depends on which one you use. But either way, is it pi or is it 3.14? The answer is 137.5 or 0.6. Give yourself a mark. 14. State the reference angle for 5 pi over 6 in terms of a radian. Well, it's already over pi, so if you do that, that's your reference angle. And in terms of a degree, 180 divided by 6 is a degree is 30 degrees. Now the other way is to convert this to, this becomes 30 times 5, which is 300. And if you plot the 300 on your circle, like this, there's 90, 180, 270, and there's 130, there's 300 degrees rotation, there's your terminal arm, so that's 60 left, sorry, 200 is 30, pi over 6 is 30, so 300 is 60 left. Now where am I? Pi over 6, oh, now see, you talk about, no, pi over 6 is 30, that's 100, you think I can't multiply? Pi over 6 is 30, 30 times is 150. And when you rotate 150, which is as far as here, a little careless, 150, that gives us 30. So the reference angle is, make sure you can, so that's a 30. So pi over 6 is 180 divided by 6 is 30, and I calculated this to be 150. I said 5 times 30, and I looked at the 6, I was saying 5 times 60, but it's not 5 times 30. Sorry about that. That's a 30-degree reference. Number 15, find the value of each. The sine pi over 2, 180 divided by 2 is 90. So, if we look at the circle, on the circle, this point is 1, 0. This point is 0, 1. This point right here is negative 1, 0. And this point is 0, negative 1. Remember, this is a 0, 90, 180, 270. So the sine of 90, 90 is here. Sine is the y, so it's a 1. That's the cos of 2 pi. 2 times 180 is 360. So 360 is all the way around. Cos is the x, so it's a 1. And the tan, pi is 180. Oops. 180. And so tan is the y over the x, and 180 is right here. Y is 0, x is negative 1, so 0 over negative 1 is 0. So if you have 1, 1, 0, give yourself a mark for each right here. And the total on that page is out of 10. And another one, 16. find the exact values. So 2 pi over 3, pi over 3, 180 divided by 3 is 60. 2 times 60 is 120. So when we plot 120, like this, on a rotation, that's a 90, and some more, there it is right there, that's 120. Terminal arm goes out, that means that's 120. This piece of arc right here is 60. Drop a perpendicular to the x-axis, this angle is 60, this angle is 30. Hypotenuse, or the radius of the circle, is 1, opposite 30 is a half, opposite 60 is root 3 over 2, and the x going to the left is negative, the y going up is positive, and sine is the y, so the y is root 3 over 2. Give yourself a mark, we have root 3 over 2. And right here we have the cos of a negative. 180 divided by 4 is 45. So, draw another circle, and we have negative 45 rotation from here. So there it is there, negative 45. Terminal arm extends out, perpendicular to the x-axis, right triangle. If this angle is negative 45, then the reference angle, the central angle, is 45. This is a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. The hypotenuse is 1, or the radius is 1. And 45 right triangle, the sides are the same, root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2. But in this quadrant 4, x is positive and y is negative. X is going to the right, positive, y is going down. And the cos is the x, and the x is root 2 over 2. And we have the cot, and this is the cot of, now let's see, oh, we got to remind you, pi over 4 is the reference angle of 45, right? Right there. And pi over, so that's pi, 180, so that's 11. That's pi over 6 is 30. So we have the cot of 330 degrees. So we'll draw that circle. Here we go. And 330 is 90, 180, 270. Keep going. 270 and 60 more. So there's 330 rotation. Terminal arm goes out. Perpendicular goes to the x-axis. So that's 330. Then this is 30 from here to here. That means the central angle and the reference angle is 30. This is 30, 90, and this angle must be 60. Opposite 30 is a half. Opposite 60 is root 3 over 2. Hypotenuse is 1. The x is positive, and the y is negative. And cot is, tan is the y over the x, cot is the x over the y. So the x is root 3 over 2, and the y is negative a half. So that's root 3 over 2 times negative 2 over 1. The 2's cancel. 1, negative 1, so I got a negative root 3. To get negative root 3, give yourself a mark. 3 for that page. Notice the special right triangles. Notice in the quadrant that you end up in is where they're plus minus. Just be careful. And number 17, we have two. The last video I did was on evaluating, so let's evaluate. Find exact value of this expression. Secant of, let's look at pi over 3. That's 180 divided by 3. This is 60 degrees. So that's the secant of 60. The cos of 5 pi over 6. Pi over 6 is a 30. So 5 times 30, that's a 150. And sine squared of pi over 4. 180 divided by 4 is 45. Now that I have them all in degrees, now I'll do the rotation on the 60. Just do each rotation separately so we won't get mixed up. So 60 is right here. That's a 60. Terminal arm, perpendicular to the x-axis. 60 rotation, 60 reference central angle, 30. So that's a half, opposite 30. That's a root 3 over 2, opposite to 60. That's a 1. And secant is the secant of 60 is 1 over the sine of 60. So that's 1, the sine of 60 is root 3 over 2. So that becomes 1 divided by root 3 over 2 is 1 times 2 over root 3, which is 2 over root 3. And conjugate. So this becomes 2 root 3. Root 3 times root 3 is 3. So the secant of 60 is 2 root 3 over 3. Now I have to do cos of 150. Rotate 90 and 150 is right here. So that's 150. Then this is a 30. Terminal arm, perpendicular to the x-axis. So this arc is 30. This central angle, reference angle is 30. This angle is 60. Notice this is a pi over 6. Pi over 6 is a 30-degree reference angle. So opposite to 60 is root 3 over 2. Opposite to 30 is a half. The x is negative. And, the x is negative. This is the x negative. This is the y positive. You gotta be careful. Right? Talking too much. The x is negative. The y is positive. Cos is the x. So that's a negative root 3 over 2. And we have to do the 45 rotation. 45 is right here. Terminal arm, perpendicular. 45 is the reference angle, same as the central. This angle is 45, that's a 1. This is root 2 over 2 positive. This is root 2 over 2 positive. And sine is the y. The y is going up, root 2 over 2. And we have to square it. Notice the square is on the sine, so the square is on the bracket. So we'll do the square first. So root 2 over 2 times root 2 over 2. Root 2 times root 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. We could make it a half, or we just leave it alone for a second. Now we got the, we're doing PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. So the brackets are done, we're doing the exponents done. Now we're going to do the multiplication. So we have negative times a positive is a negative. 2 times 1 is 2. Root 3 times root 3 is 3. And we have 3 times 2 is 6. So simplify, that's a negative 6 over 6 minus 2 over 4. And we simplify. We can simplify it to make it a negative 1 minus a half. And we add that, we get a negative 1 and 1/2. Or we could have gone right here and made the common denominator 12, multiplied by 2 over 2, which would give us a negative 12 over 12, multiplied by 3 over 3, which would give us a negative 6 over 12, and that would, now I said 12, that's a 6, that's negative, common denominator is 12, negative 12, negative 6 is a negative 18, and a negative 18, 6 into 18 goes 3, and is negative. 6 into 12 goes 2. So negative 3 over 2 is the same as negative 1.5. And we have the correct answer. So if you have the conversions done, give yourself a mark. If you have each of these correct, there's 5 marks altogether is a mark. And if you added them correctly, you get another mark. 5 marks altogether. And when you're finished, add the total on each of the pages, put it over 40, and convert it to a percent. And you have your quiz done, and see how well you know about radian measure. And if you like my video, click the like button, subscribe button, visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. That's the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.